America's national park system is home to millions of acres of wildlife untouched by man, and lost in those sprawling acres are believed to be feral people responsible for hundreds of mysterious disappearances and deaths dating back to the 1800s. They might be hunting us, but who or what is hunting them? But his soul was mad. Being alone in the wilderness, it had looked within itself, and, by heavens I tell you, it had gone mad. Joseph Conrad, Heart of Darkness. North America is home to 109 million acres of unexplored and unmapped lands. Of those, 52 million are the protected domains of the United States National Park Service. Within that abyssal wood of trees and mountains, lakes and rivers, brush and bramble are said to be places mankind itself has never set foot. Or have they? And those that have, are they man at all? In the national parks, there have been a staggering 3,000 reported deaths and disappearances in the last 10 years. While most of these deaths can be attributed to wildlife and all that nature entails, rock falls, drowning, animal attacks, geysers, there are some deaths that don't seem to fit into this category. Some of these cases are shrouded in mysterious reports of feral people and sinister creatures. Are these random occurrences, or have the sinister secrets of the American sprawls been hidden away from you on purpose? America's national parks have always captured the cultural eye, dating back to films like 2005's The Descent, dealing with cannibalistic subhumans in the Appalachian caves, and in recent years with various TikTok videos featuring eyewitness or second-hand accounts of the park system's peculiar past. A popular documentary series, Missing 411, has dedicated over 10 books and 2 feature-length films to the mysterious disappearances in the national parks as well. But where did this all start? Every myth has some basis in fact, doesn't it? Let's turn our attention to the vast mountain range of the American Northeast, including the Ozarks and Appalachia. Before these were protected lands and wildlife sanctuaries, they were revered by the Native Americans that inhabited them. The Cherokee believed that the Appalachian Mountains were formed when a giant buzzard crashed into the earth, the mountains forming in its wake. They believed the blue mists coming through these mountains took the form of spirits, both good and evil. They also believed magical creatures filled the deep forests. They named their home Shakonage, or Home of the Blue Smoke. In the 1700s through the 1900s, Appalachia became home to immigrants, moonshiners, and more, wishing to live off the grid, away from the chokehold of law and civilization, hidden in the shadow of these towering mountains and deep in the dense forests. To put into perspective just how large Appalachia is, the mountain range swallows over 400 counties in 13 states. Reports of feral or wild people can be traced back in some parts of the country to the 1890s and can be found all across America. One in Benton, Arkansas in 1892 reports seeing a boy naked in his teens running through the woods. His motions and speed were wolf-like, and he showed no signs of human intelligence. He was believed to be the same boy who had gone missing almost 15 years prior near the woods of Benton. The question is, who took him, and how did he survive? These urban legends were given mainstream attention, however, in 1969, with the disappearance of 6-year-old Dennis Martin near the Tennessee-North Carolina border. William Martin, the boy's father, and Clyde Martin, his grandfather, were on an annual trip. They started at a location known as Cades Grove and hiked over to Spence Field, where they met another family that was also with young boys. Dennis and the other boys planned a prank. They would run ahead, hide in the brush, and jump out to surprise the adults. The 3 boys ran into the brush, and one would never be seen again. When Dennis didn't pop out, concern was light. Maybe he'd just gotten lost or turned around. As the search went on, that concern quickly grew into dread. The park rangers were called in, as were the Boy Scouts, the National Guard, and even a squadron of Green Berets. U.S. Army elite operatives who had been running classified maneuvers in the area, consistent with the Army's Robin Sage exercise. A final test, like a rite of passage for Special Forces training that focuses on unconventional warfare scenarios. Dennis would have turned 7 that week. The only clues found were boy-sized footprints of someone wearing one Oxford shoe of the type Dennis had and the other foot bare. Family members said the prints were too big to be Denny, and searchers were skeptical as the area had been searched by Boy Scouts previously who could have left the prints. A single sock and shoe were found, but it is unclear if the shoe was the right type or size, or if it was the correct foot to correspond with the footprints. The largest search party ever assembled in the park's history went home empty-handed, but one testimony would shed a chilling light on the already mysterious disappearance. The Key family from Tennessee was camping in the area where Dennis went missing and had no idea about the missing child or the expansive search for him. Weeks later, the family patriarch Harold called officials to report hearing a startling scream and seeing a hairy figure racing through the woods near the campsite. Over time, theories began to materialize, with some asking why was the Army's most elite Special Forces unit so close by. One anonymous source even reports that his uncle was hired by the Federal Bureau of Investigation to hunt feral people in the woods near where Dennis had disappeared. Some internet pundits have speculated that these feral people or wild men are indigenous Americans that hid in the hills during the devastating Trail of Tears, a dark time when Native Americans were driven out entirely from the eastern United States. Some believe they're a devolved form of mountain man, descended from the outlaws and moonshiners who'd hidden in the hills and stayed there too long. Did they lose their human nature to the wilds? Very memory of civilization lost to time? Uncontacted tribes exist the world over, with the United Nations Inter-American Commission on Human Rights estimating that there are close to 200 tribes with a total population of over 10,000. Parallel to these feral men stories that persist across many national parks are the disproportionate number of cryptid sightings reported in these areas. The Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization in 2020 released a map of sightings of Bigfoot or other Sasquatch-like cryptids per state. Sightings were most dense in Appalachia, with over 800 in states where the Appalachian mountain range runs through. Could these hairy, lumbering cryptids be mistaken for feral people, or vice versa? After all, stories of encounters with Sasquatches and feral people show similar characteristics. An overwhelmingly putrid smell of rotten filth, strange howling, and a form of primitive communication through whooping and screaming, and, most importantly, either curiosity or outright hostility towards humans. So, could these bipedal cryptids and America's feral people be one and the same? Or could they be something more sinister? Man playing God with our genetic code. Nazi experimentation, done not just on American soil, but with our government's blessing, as a desperate weapon with which to fight against the Russians, crafted in the secret confines and catacombs of the black site military bases our national parks were meant to keep hidden. Next week, we'll take you deeper into a theory that points to remnants of the Third Reich in our national parks, with evidence pointing to genetic research and UFO technology.